On paper, England had everything: a record-breaking captain, a midfield superstar, and 12 goals between them. In reality, they still didn't lift the World Cup. Kane and Bellingham produced numbers most players could only dream of. But football has a nasty habit of exposing one uncomfortable truth. You can have the two biggest stars on the pitch and still build a team that fails when it matters most. So who was England's real main character? Let's look at the raw numbers, because even by modern football standards, what happened in North America defies belief. Going into the quarterfinals, both Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham had 6 goals to their name. Think about that for a second. In the 96-year history of the World Cup, no English team, in fact, almost no team, period, has ever had 2 players firing at that absolute elite level simultaneously. When you look at the wider tournament data, the dependency is staggering. 12 out of 13 goals. 92% of England's entire attacking output came from 2 men. To put that in perspective, look at France at the same tournament. Kylian Mbappe and his supporting cast accounted for roughly 81% of their goals. What England were doing wasn't a balanced strike partnership. It was a 2-man band doing a stadium tour with a broken amplifier. And look, fans love a hero narrative. We love the idea of Atlas holding up the world. But in tournament football, relying 92% on 2 players isn't a master plan. It's a flashing red warning light. So, numbers like that beg the obvious question: who is actually the bigger reason England got as far as they did? Let's start with the man wearing the armband. Harry Kane arrived at the 2026 World Cup in what he himself described as the best form of his career. 21 goals in 13 matches for club and country before a ball was even kicked in anger. And for the first half of the tournament, he backed up every single word. 3 goals in the group stage. A heart-stopping rescue act against DR Congo with a classic Poacher's double. A nervy, ice-cold penalty against Mexico in the round of 16. Then came the history books. With his strike against Panama, Kane officially surpassed Wayne Rooney to become England's all-time leading goalscorer at World Cups, pushing his overall tournament tally to 14, good for 5th all-time in the history of the global game. For years, the lazy narrative around Kane was the trophy curse, the shadow of Tottenham, the weight of a career without silverware. But that narrative died the moment he lifted silverware with Bayern Munich. By 2026, Kane wasn't just a prolific goalscorer, he was a hardened winner. Even Jude Bellingham himself, in an interview during the tournament, didn't hesitate to call Kane the greatest player to ever pull on an England shirt. That's not just politeness, that's mutual respect between alpha dogs. So Kane's got the crown, the record, and the legacy. Fine. But if Kane is the finished, polished article, who's the one still writing his story the hard way? This is where the script gets messy. And by messy, I mean Hollywood-level cinema. Remember where Bellingham was 12 months prior. Whispers of attitude problems, a controversial fallout with managerial directives, a grueling shoulder injury that turned his second season at Real Madrid into an absolute grind, and British tabloids asking if he was just another overhyped prodigy burning out before his time. He arrived in North America with a point to prove, and boy, did he prove it. When England needed someone to grab a knockout game by the scruff of the neck, Bellingham answered. A vital brace against Mexico in the round of 16. Another 2 goals against Norway in the quarterfinals, rescuing England in extra time. And then came the 3rd-place playoff against France, a chaotic, historic 6-4 thriller. Bellingham, coming off the bench, scored a stunning solo goal in stoppage time to seal his 7th goal of the tournament, 7 goals. Breaking the all-time record for the most goals scored by an Englishman at a single major tournament, Euro or World Cup, leaving legends like Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker in his wake, from the lad the papers aren't sure about to breaking a record that had stood for decades. That's not just a good summer, that's a film script. Time to put them side by side and actually look at how they play football, because these two could not belong to more different sporting universes. Harry Kane is the sniper waiting in the box. His game is geometry, timing, and first touch economy. He doesn't need 20 touches a game. He needs 1 square foot of space and a fraction of a second to turn half a chance into an absolute certainty. He drops deep to link play, sure, but his true home is the penalty spot, Jude Bellingham. Bellingham is the bloke who kicks the front door down because he can't be bothered waiting for the key. He's a powerhouse midfielder who creates his own chaos. Late arriving runs into the box, ferocious ball carrying that eats up 50 yards of turf in 4 seconds, and a sheer refusal to let his team lose momentum. And leadership-wise, Kane gives you the statesman-like calm, the captain who speaks quietly and carries a very big penalty record. Bellingham gives you the heartbeat, the fiery, combative energy that sparks a dormant stadium into life. Both are lethal, but they are completely different weapons. 2 different weapons, sure, but weapons only matter when the actual war begins. And there was one night, specific night, where England needed both of them to fire, and both of them went completely silent. July 15th, 2026, Atlanta Stadium, the World Cup semi-final against Argentina. This is where the fairy tale hits a brick wall. And let's clear up a common misconception right now. Neither Harry Kane nor Jude Bellingham was sitting on the bench. Both of them started, both of them played, and that is where the real shock lies. For 90 minutes, the 2 men who had accounted for 92% of England's entire tournament output drew a complete blank. Anthony Gordon had given England the lead in the 55th minute, set up by Morgan Rogers. As the clock ticked past 80 minutes, Argentina turned the screw. Lionel Messi carved open the English block twice, first finding Enzo Fernandez for the equalizer in the 85th minute, and then floating a dagger to the back post in the 92nd minute for Lautaro Martinez to head home. 2-1. Game over. Worse still, this was the night Harry Kane collected his 121st cap, officially making him the most capped outfield player in the history of the England national team. A historic milestone buried under a mountain of heartbreak, and straight away, the knives came out for manager Thomas Tuchel. On the overlap, Gary Neville didn't hold back, pointing out the glaring tactical blunder. Once England went 1-0 up, Tuchel panicked, pulled the team back into a rigid defensive block featuring up to 6 natural defenders, and froze. He didn't make a single attacking substitution until the 96th minute, 4 minutes after Argentina had scored the winner. You see, neither Kane nor Bellingham is an electric, blistering counterattacker who can run channels against a high defensive line when you're defending a lead. When Tuchel parked the bus, he essentially handcuffed his 2 biggest weapons. So who do we blame? Do we blame the superstars for going quiet when the lights were brightest? Or do we blame a managerial setup that suffocated its own attacking heartbeat? In sports science, they talk about weak link versus strong link sports. Football is a weak link sport. Your team is only as good as your collective shape, relying 92% on 2 players all tournament, only to watch them get stranded by defensive conservatism when it mattered most. That wasn't a player failure, that was a systemic disaster. And that brings us to the weirdest postscript in recent English football history. The 3rd place playoff against France, a 6-4 goal fest. One of the wildest matches ever played at a World Cup. Bellingham comes off the bench, grabs a brilliant solo goal in injury time, and cements his 7th goal of the tournament, securing 3rd place and England's best finish at a World Cup on foreign soil in 60 years. Now, purists will tell you that records set in a 3rd place playoff don't count. Oh, it's a dead rubber, they say. Nobody cares about bronze. Try telling that to the other 10 blokes on the pitch who couldn't lace his boots in that moment. A record is a record. And resilience on a cold Tuesday in Atlanta after your world title dream just imploded is worth more than a dozen group stage routes. So we've got the facts, we've got the numbers, we've got one brutal semi-final. Now it's time to answer the question. So who is England's real main character? if you ask the traditionalists, they'll tell you it's Harry Kane, the captain, the all-time record holder, the man whose sheer reliability kept the ship steady when the waves got choppy. He didn't need a Hollywood script in a dead rubber playoff to prove his weight in gold. His legacy as England's greatest ever marksman is etched in stone. If you ask the modernists, the kids, the ones who live for the chaos and the magic, they'll tell you it's Jude Bellingham, the 23-year-old who took a broken team, shattered a 60-year record, and proved that even when the machinery fails, raw, unyielding grit can almost move mountains. Here's my take. Kane is the foundation. Bellingham is the lightning. You don't win tournaments without either. But when the dust settles on 2026, only one of them feels like the future. So go on then. Who's your player of the tournament? Drop it in the comments below. Let me know why I'm completely wrong. And make sure you hit subscribe before you start a Twitter war. See you next week.